welcome to you all, and thank you for giving up some time tonight to be with us and to share the first steps in the journey of the students' lives over the next few years. And I actually want to pick up on that word journey, because this is the next step, the next part of the journey. And whenever I think of journeys, I'm of a certain age, and the book that springs to mind is that, and some of you may remember it, that wonderful book by Douglas Adams, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which, if you remember, tells a story about the Earthling, Arthur Dent, who is dragged into an intergalactic adventure when Earth is destroyed to make way for an intergalactic superhighway. And the two things I think we should learn, or we can learn from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Firstly, the book itself was an electronic book, and in big red letters on the front of that electronic book were the words, "Don't panic." And I think it's a very opportune couple of words to remember as we all embark on this next phase of the journey. Whatever happens, whatever appears, whatever challenges emerge in the next few years, don't panic. The second thing that I think the book tells us is that Arthur began his journey, his transition into that great space adventure by drinking 4 beers and having a packet of peanuts. Now, we, I think, can do a little better with the catering tonight, so this is that next stage in that journey. The steps that you'll undergo in the next little while in order to take that journey are manifold, but they can be broken down loosely into 3 kind of areas: enrolment, orientation, and then ongoing. I was looking for a word beginning with O for enrolment to try and get like a triple O thing happening, but I couldn't find one. So if anyone thinks of an O word, then come down and tell me. Sorry? Onboarding. I thought of onboarding, but onboarding has a different kind of somewhat sinister kind of context. So enrolment, orientation, and ongoing is where we're at. Enrolment day. How many of you enrolled today? Had some enrolments today? Okay. Those of you who enrolled today or yesterday, you can go back to Facebook. You don't have to listen to this bit. Those of you who haven't, enrolment day is the first really big contact you have with us. And it can be a little bit scary, it can be a little bit daunting. We've done a lot of work to make it as seamless and as useful and as helpful as we possibly can. But during the day, you will be asked to get information about the program that you've been accepted into and work through the details about that process. Now, the thing to remember, again, is those 2 words: don't panic. You know, it's all good, and we're there to help. Right throughout the process, when you're on campus, there are support staff, there are academics, there are people who can help you at every stage of the process. And the things you need to do when you enrol are pretty simple, really. There's a whole bunch of technical stuff, which one of my colleagues, Brad, will tell you about a bit later. But in terms of the academic side of it, you've already been accepted into a program. You know what program of study you'll be doing. That program is made up of units of study. You choose which ones you have to enrol in, and you choose the classes in those units of study. It's pretty simple. So, for example, you may be accepted into a Bachelor of Accounting. And the Bachelor of Accounting will be made up of a number of units that you have to do, and there are a number of units that you can choose to do, what we call electives. So you simply select the units that you have to do and pick some units that you'd like to do. Pretty simple, really. And once you've chosen those units, each of those units will have probably a lecture like this, and maybe a tutorial, maybe a lab, depending on what the unit is, and you'll select the lecture time. And the reason why you have to choose a lecture time is because sometimes our classes have 1,500, 2,000 students. The biggest theatres we have are about 500, so we have to run more than one lecture. So sometimes there'll be more than one lecture time. Choose a lecture time, choose a tutorial time, easy. Now, like I said, when you're here on campus, we can help you through that. There's people that can guide you through the process, that will help you with your selection of units, that will give you some advice about the particulars, the specificities of the program of study that you have to do. But before you come, you can actually find out some information and make it even easier for yourself. So if you hop onto the website, mq.edu.au, which I'm sure you all know of, and I would have put the entire URL up there, but you wouldn't remember it, it's way too long. So the secret is in the top right of the website, there's a little search box. Type in program guides. You will get a page with all the program guides for every program. And what a program guide tells you is the units that you will then have to study. So you can get a step ahead. Hop on the web, get the program guide, look up the units, and then you'll know when you come to enrol the unit selections you have to make. You can also see the timetable. That URL is pretty easy to remember, timetables.mq. Look up the units of study and you can see when the lectures are, when the tutorials are. You can think about what choices you make when you get here. And if you go to that part of the web, we actually have information about the units. They are our unit guides. So there's information about the general learning outcomes required, the assessment tasks, the readings, the textbooks. All of that information is available, and it should be available now for all of our units. So if there's any information you want to know about the units of study, it's all up there. You can look for it. You can be really well prepared for when you come here on enrolment day. But like I said, don't panic. When you come here, we can help you through this whole process. The next of the O's, the first of the O's actually, is orientation. And orientation is something that we're very proud of here at Macquarie because we have a very well-developed orientation program. And the key part of our orientation is a program called Mentors at Macquarie. And Mentors works by introducing new students to an older student, someone who's been here for a while, someone who knows the ropes, who knows why the buildings are numbered the way they are, who knows how to get around, who knows how to succeed academically. And each mentor will be assigned to a group, a small group, 6 or 7 new students. And they will meet for the first time on orientation day sometime next week. So what should have happened is that new students would have received an email from their mentor and they would have responded, and hopefully now there would be a communication already happening and the orientation day would have been allocated and assigned and that relationship would have begun. The mentors will stay in touch with the new students for at least 6 or 7 weeks. That's the official program. But we find that that relationship actually continues for quite some time. It's actually a really nice introduction, a really gradual transition into the university system. And even before the actual orientation happens, we find the relationship builds. Every year there's like 40 or 50,000 emails flying backwards and forwards between mentors and mentees. And the feedback we get from mentors is fantastic. You know, it's very clear from everything we hear from new students that the mentor program is a really important, really integral part of what we do. And like I said, we're very proud of it and something that works really well for new students. The other thing that happens in orientation is once you've enrolled in your units, the online version, if you like, the online information about that unit becomes available. And so if you've enrolled in an accounting unit, once you have that enrolment, you will be able to log on to the university's, I'll use a technical term, learning management system, and you can go to your unit and you can see what's going to happen in that unit. Now, some faculties have actually introduced what they're calling Kickstart, which is some activities available to new students prior to the actual formal commencement. So there's some units where you can actually go in and you'll get introduced to your lecturer by a video. There'll be some activities, there'll be some fun games, just to get you into the sorts of activities that will be happening in the unit of study. So the online presence will be up and running and will be available once you're enrolled as a student, once you have your student number and your access. And again, on that online presence, you'll get a better sense of what the assessments are, you'll get a sense of when the dates are due, and you'll be able to start thinking about and understanding, if you like, the dynamic of your first session here at Macquarie. The final O is ongoing. And really, all I'm saying about this is that we don't leave you alone after the first 6 weeks. We're here for you for the duration. So even after The mentors at Macquarie have officially packed up and gone home, which they never do because they're all on campus anyway. Even after orientation is over, we have, for example, peer-assisted learning, where students who have completed successfully one of the units of study will form informal study groups with students so that they can study together and work towards success in their units of study. And that happens right across our program, largely at first year, but sometimes at higher levels of study. We have learning skills support for students who might feel they need some further assistance outside of the formal curriculum. Our staff, our academic staff, are always available. Every academic staff has contact hours during the week so that if a student wants to have a chat, that's fine. And I was in a meeting a bit earlier today, and one of the things that came up was very clearly we're a very friendly campus. You know, the Vice-Chancellor is often found outside the coffee cart, and you can go up and say hello to him, and he will say hello back. And it's the same with all of us. You know, there is no reason for a student to feel like they can't talk to anyone on this campus. We're absolutely available, absolutely open, and we will try our best to help you through whatever we can. But there's also more formal kind of student admin kind of support. So we have a program, perhaps, called Student Connect. Is that the right word? Program? Student Connect, where any question that you have about the university will be answered. And we have these fantastic new student informal learning spaces just across the way over there. It's one of those spaces which has got really innovative areas for students to hang out, but it's also where students can connect with staff and ask questions and get answers. I like that space because it's got this really long desk which is built right around one of the rooms. And when I was first told about it, I was told it was the longest desk in the world. The builder then told me later that maybe I should say the longest desk in the Southern Hemisphere. And the manager of Student Connect now tells me it's the longest desk in North Ryde. But, you know, we take what we can and we hang on to it. But it is a fantastic space, and Student Connect hangs out there. We have a similar presence online at Ask at MQ, where any question that a student may have can be submitted to Ask at MQ and will be answered. And then we have support around campus wellbeing for health and other issues that may emerge. So there's a whole range of support that is provided by staff. And we shouldn't forget there's a whole range of support provided by students. Huge range of student groups. The student life on campus is comprehensive, it's enthusiastic, it's exciting, and it stops students from studying, but I don't want to know about that. But it's a fantastic part of our campus and a really important part of it. So a couple of quick dates that I just want to throw up here for you. Right now is enrolment. Next week, orientation happens, so that's when the mentors and the mentees will get together and hang out. March 3rd is session 1. And there's a date, and I think Brad will talk about it later, called census date, March the 31st, which is important administratively, but it's also important because of one thing, and this is where the words "don't panic" spring to mind. You know, you'll go through enrolment if you haven't already done it, and you might go, "Oh God, what happens if I change my mind?" Doesn't matter. You can change your mind. If you've decided that, you know, you've enrolled in Philosophy 137 and you think about it and think, you know what, I don't want to do Philosophy 137, you can go in and change it. That's fine. There's no problems with that, except you can't do it after census date. Okay? So there's a little bit of time to drop subjects. There's a little bit of time to think about things, but there are some absolute deadlines. And then we have the first session ending in June, which seems so long away now, but it'll come up really quickly, and then the exam period. After the exam periods, the results will be released, and it's at this point where I have to say to the parents here, I'm sorry, but it's over for you. We don't release anything to you guys. No reports, no results. It's between us and the students. So if you want to find out how your kid's done, you're going to have to get it out of them yourself. So that's kind of me. And I'd just like to remind you that, you know, those two words, don't panic, it's all good. We're here to help. And there are beers and peanuts this talk test. So thank you very much.